Good morning. Before we get started today, please like and subscribe. Please continue to share my channel. I believe there are people out there who are really enjoying it and who like the message. Not just that they like it, but that it's helpful. And that's my whole point of having this channel, is I want to be helpful to other human beings. So thank you so much for sharing. So today, I want to elaborate a bit on what I was talking about the other day. When I was talking about how to get through tough times, and mostly the subject was, these political times, or the recession that they say is coming. The fact that, you almost can't avoid hearing about, ports being empty and truckers being laid off of their jobs, and supplies are going to slow down and maybe come to a halt. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't respond too much to things before they happen. I like to be aware, but I don't take awareness to the next level where I fear or panic. And I think that's one thing that I really wanted to share and just help people with. There's a fine line between watching videos, or I don't watch the news, like the mainstream news, but I do watch podcasts. I watch people that have YouTube videos like mine. That's mostly what I watch, is other people's YouTube videos. There's a guy from Russia that has actually two guys from Russia have a YouTube video. There are people from Ukraine, people from all over the world, Germany. And when we watch people who are living in a particular country or in a particular experience, I think that's the best way to get the information. For me, again, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I like to get I guess you could say, straight from the horse's mouth. I don't want some commentator, narrating to me what that person believes to be true in their reality, and because I don't want someone else's reality to be my truth. I want my reality to come from what other people are actually experiencing firsthand, and that's my preference. I like to get things firsthand. So with that, I listen to some of the things that are going on in Ukraine. I tend to listen to some of the things that are going on. Last night, I heard a guy who was a truck driver in the Midwest, and he said a lot of his buddies are losing their jobs. Their trucking companies are laying people off. There aren't enough shipments coming into the ports right now. And, when I first started to see tariff, recession coming, panic, things like that. And when I do get little news clips, it's usually because if I'm on Facebook or social media or YouTube, sometimes you just can't help but have something. There's always some kind of a thumbnail that just jumps out at you. And if nothing else, if you just read the headline and then click on it for 2 seconds, you can see what it's about. But as far as Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, the whatever other, I don't even know what the names of other news channels are, the smaller ones and the ones that are owned by Rupert Murdoch, and I know there are a lot of multi-billionaires that own news channels, and I just try to avoid those. But there are times when if we want to see what's going on with the government or what's going on internationally, sometimes you have to find some kind of channel that's going to present that. And a lot of the YouTubers were just talking about the recession. There's one person on there, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but there's one person that I refer to as "the sky is falling," because it's almost I think, and a lot of people want to monetize. That's fine. If you're in it to monetize, no judgment. That's a good way to make money, from what I understand. I'm in it to share and help people. If money ends up being a thing, then great. If that were to happen organically, but I'm not paying for this channel to be boosted or anything like that. But I see a lot of people that are doing fear tactics, or talking about the recession, you better stock up and be a prepper. Their whole channel is how to be a prepper, how to keep your family from starving through these hard times that are coming. You've got FAFO, and that's F around and find out, which they're basically making fun of people. And see, that's, as you probably, if you know me at all by now, you know that that's just, none of that is my style. It just is not my style. My style is to If I see anything negative, I want to bring the light to it. I want to put a spin on anything negative and turn it to light and turn it to something positive. So the recession is, everybody's saying the recession is coming, prepare for it. Okay, I mean, being prepared is good. I think I said that in my last video. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. If you have enough space to store things, and this is what I always say. I lived in Florida. We had hurricanes in Florida, and people would say, oh, we're stocking up for hurricane season. Well, I was always stocked up in Florida. There wasn't a hurricane season where I went out shopping and filled my pantry and all my closets with supplies. Those supplies just already existed. They always existed. I mean, if we didn't have a major hurricane and I had batteries and flashlights and plenty of toilet paper and all the things that we needed, I didn't just use them all up and wait for the next hurricane season and then rush out and buy them again. I guess I'm just too lazy to do that. But I mean, all those supplies, I had a closet designated in my hallway. It was supposed to be a linen closet. It was pretty big, and I called it my hurricane closet. That was our supply closet. That was our, our prepper closet, and we had everything we needed. So that's kind of how I live my life. I'm not a prepper to the point where I have, I don't have a garden. I don't have room for a garden, but if I owned a house, maybe I would. I don't hoard supplies, but a lot of people do. Again, no judgment. Just try to be careful that you're not taking from other people. Don't wait till the very last minute and wipe off the shelves so that nobody has anything. That's called self-fulfilling prophecy. And one of the videos I read about the recession is that, when people run to the shelves and wipe them out, they're basically, causing the problems. It's like, yes, we could have a recession, and yes, it could be bad, but people who take all the supplies from other people make life worse. So don't do that. Don't go grab all the supplies so nobody else could have it. But as far as, putting a spin on something as, scary, or could be scary as a recession, I got through the 2008 recession without even knowing we had one. And, I know I'm not privileged. No, I didn't have more money than everybody else. In fact, at the time, my husband was suffering quite a bit with depression and anxiety, and we didn't have a lot. We went to Sam's Club and bought a bunch of stuff and had it stored. But I had 4 kids. I had 3 boys, and 2 of them were teens, so they ate a lot. And, were things expensive? They sure were, but we shopped at big bulk stores. We made sure that we put limits on things. Don't eat a whole box of something in one sitting, that kind of thing. I mean, we fed our kids. There's feeding, there's eating, and then there's gluttony, and we didn't stop our teen boys from the food they needed to grow. I mean, if we bought a loaf of bread and somebody wanted to have 7 sandwiches in one night, go for it. But yeah, I mean, we bought the kinds of foods that they could munch on, and they had plenty. We bought meat from the farmer, and this is where I really wanted to lead with this, in prepping for a recession. If you're seeing the news and everything saying how it's going to get so bad, the stores are going to be wiped clean, the supply chain is going to be just completely disrupted until it's going to stop, we're not going to have any supplies. Today I can't believe I'm going to admit this out loud. I had to throw away some hard-boiled eggs today. I'm sorry. I just couldn't find. I knocked on all my neighbors' doors and nobody was home. It was too late I had to go to work, and they were already in the refrigerator long enough. I had eaten as many eggs as I could possibly eat out of that batch. And what happened was I bought 18 eggs from somebody at work for I think $4 or $5, because a farmer was selling eggs. I live in farm country, and this person at work knew somebody that had chickens, and they had way too many eggs, and they were selling them. And I bought 18. I already had like 2/3 of a dozen in the refrigerator that I had bought before, so I had to use those up. I had an omelet. I had hard-boiled eggs every single day. I tried to eat all these eggs, but as if that wasn't enough, somebody else came up to me with a dozen eggs and handed them to me and said, here, I have too many. My neighbor has eggs and they can't even give them away right now. We don't want them to go bad. Oh my gosh. So I took them with the idea that I would give them to my son, and then I forgot to take them over there. They already have eggs. They live even deeper into farm country, so they've got plenty. And here I was with all these eggs in my refrigerator, looking at this like, I'm watching these videos about how the price of eggs is so high and people are suffering, and I feel bad for anybody that can't get to eggs or can't get to food or who can't get to a place where they have neighbors or a place where there are farms around. But I can say this, one thing that I know is when times get tough, the barter system is strong. That is when we can lean on the barter system. Now, does that mean you have to give everything away for free, for absolute free? It doesn't. I mean, these farmers are selling, 18 eggs for $4 or $5, but it's nowhere near the $12 that you would pay for in the store. And so, they're getting a little bit of money for their effort. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're not trying to gouge people. They're not saying, oh, I get these eggs for free and I have plenty, so I'll charge $20 or whatever, because I want to get rich. And this is where capitalism, I think, really fell apart way back whenever. I agree with the idea of capitalism. I like that anybody can start a business. I like that everybody can just start from scratch and do something and make money. I love that idea. I love that concept. But where it starts to get bad is where somebody has the bright idea that, well, I get these trees for free and I'm going to sell leaves. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut off branches and pick off leaves for decoration. And these trees are free. They don't cost me anything. My labor's worth, I don't know, for every branch that I cut, or let's say flowers or whatever you have, it takes me about $1.50's worth of time. And so I have these. I'm going to wrap them up in a little bow. That bow cost me 29 cents, cost me $1.50 to pick them. And I'm going to sell them for, $5 a piece. Okay, well, I went out there and I did the picking and I did the labor, and I'm the one that went out in the rain some days, and, that job wasn't comfortable for me, and it was something that, maybe I enjoy picking branches or trees or leaves or whatever, but I went out in my garden and I did the work, and so yeah, I'm gonna get $4 for a nice bouquet. I put it together, and that's my business. Great. Well, now everybody wants a bouquet. Everybody wants tree branches for decorative tree branches, and everybody wants a bouquet, and everybody wants this stuff. And now I call on my neighbor and I say, hey, can you come over here and help me? And they're like, yeah, I don't have anything to do, so I'll come over. And then I start to charge $7 or $8 per bouquet, because now I'm paying my neighbor, and my neighbor says, well, if I'm going to be over here, I need to get insurance. You need to insure me in case I fall. It just kind of goes on from there. So now I'm paying an employee. Now I have more demand and I need to hire more employees. Next thing you know, I get a factory, and I'm, instead of hand picking them, we have machinery that comes and harvests them and wraps it with the bow and puts it in the base and sends it out the door. And now we've got these things going through production line. So now that $4, $5, bouquet that I hand picked, now that turns into $29.99 for the low price. Once my factory gets big enough and I have enough employees, and the employees want more money, and they want to, they're not just out there picking stuff because they have nothing better to do. This is their living. Now they have a union, or if they don't have a union, whatever, they're employees. Well, now, we're to the point where I have expenses. I have payroll. I have overhead. I have insurance. I have to pay, employees. I have to pay accountants, lawyers. There's so many people I've got to pay. The marketing department, the advertising department. There's so many people now that I have to pay. Each bouquet of flowers is now $120 because I have to pay everybody. So now, yes, a lot of people say that, capitalists are greedy and they get greedy. Business owners get greedy. Okay, here's where they get greedy. You can stop right there. You can stop there and say, this is how much I pay. This is how much I have to pay to run my factory. So I have to pay $120 per bouquet. Okay, just stop there. You have enough employees, you're doing great. If you expand, you'll be making more money. If you decide to expand into other states, duplicate that and keep charging $120. But what they'll do is they'll start to see that, oh, but if I expand, I can pay close to what I'm paying now for the employees and all the overhead, and I can keep the same attorneys and keep the same insurance, but I can charge $180 per bouquet now. Yeah, that way everything's going the same. But instead of me, taking in 120,000 a year, and then I started taking in, 1.2 million a year, that felt pretty good. Now I've seen a way where I can become a billionaire. Yeah, if I have all of these states, and I'm doing this in all of the states. Now, am I the one personally running the company all by myself? As much as Elon Musk wants us to think that he's running around to Tesla and running around to SpaceX and doing all the work himself, and he's the general manager of everything, really he has engineers and he has managers and he has people who are in charge of those things. Yes, he's overseeing it. He likes to visit his plants and he likes to go to those places and see them. But is he running them? He's not undergoing the total stress of having to run them. But if I were a greedy capitalist, I would be paying the same expenses, same employees, same thing, and then I would just keep jacking up the prices to the consumer. That's when it gets bad. That's when we have to go back to picking the flowers off the trees and handing it to our neighbor for $4. And my solution to this recession is barter, trade, do what you can with your hands. We don't have to go back to the Stone Ages, but how many things do we have? I looked in the dumpster when I was throwing my garbage out today. There are couches in the dumpster. There are mattresses in the dumpster. There are perfectly good chairs. There was a CD stand there. There was a desk with a really nice chair. All these things just get thrown in the dumpster and taken out to landfill. Why can't we take the things that we have and find people who need them? There's a place called Marketplace. Let's shop on Marketplace instead of Amazon or instead of the big stores. We can shop on Marketplace and help each other out. We have places for that. So when we have neighbors that are trading their goods, that's a great way to fight a recession. Barter and trade, be a neighbor, and don't gouge. Even if you can make a little more, make what you need, but don't make so much that you have way, way, way more than somebody else and they have nothing. Don't do that. That's inequality. And you don't have to be a socialist and make a whole bunch and then give all your money away to the people that are playing video games all day. No, don't do that. Just make enough. Make enough for you and your family. If everybody were to do that, we would all have plenty. Trust me, there is enough junk in this country and enough food going around. And I'm sorry, I had to throw away eggs. I'm sorry. But I had to. I had too many. They were going bad. There's enough. We have enough. We just need to get together and be one with one another. That's it. So I'm going to get into the office. I hope you're all having a great day. I will see you next time.